Hey, what's up, bookworms? We are back, or I guess I should say bookworms and intellectuals, because today, guys, we have a YouTuber, very, very successful YouTuber. Someone with the channel, I did the math. It's 4.3 times the size of my audience, and that's not even counting views. I think Jared has about 8 videos that have over 1 million views. So he's here today to tell me, guys, how to do this whole YouTube thing. Jared, how are you this evening?
I'm doing great, Mike. I mean, we could talk about it sometime, but no one else is going to care.
So, I think we've talked kind of, behind the scenes a little bit. You say you feel like there is maybe like a little bit of a ceiling when it comes to talking about books. But I want to say, why philosophy? Now, obviously, there's a very big audience for that. But why philosophy? Did you major in philosophy or something like that in school?
Yeah, I did. I majored in philosophy. I actually started out as a double philosophy and English major. I dropped my English major to do more philosophy. And then I went to grad school and I got a PhD in philosophy. And I then left academia after finishing my PhD, and I worked in tech for a long time. And by that, I mean like 5 years. And then I was able to make it work on YouTube and go full time doing that, plus writing on Substack. And philosophy has just always been interesting to me. I like asking the one way to understand philosophy is that philosophy is where you go to ask the questions that everyone else says are too boring to ask. And I always found those interesting. And so it just became a thing that I wanted to pursue in my life. And then, when I came on YouTube, I actually made more book content. I was probably more of a booktuber when I started. And what I started doing was trying to bring the philosophy back in. And now I really try to do like philosophy meets like a lot of criticism of kind of our digital environment and like the technology stuff. That's mostly what I do these days.
I mean, it's working. It's working really, really well. Because, like, I'll take for comparison. You and I both talked about Amazon taking away our rights to our books that we purchased, and well, yours has like 100 million times the views as mine. So you're doing something, but you're actually saying more. I think it's because it's like maybe right now I'm feeling kind of dumb. I'm reading Christopher Rocchio right now. Whenever I read Christopher, I feel much more stupid than I think I am. It makes me start to feel like I should just be like, hey, book good. That's kind of what kind of reviewer I've become when I start reading stuff like this. But I guess there is a really, really big audience for things like that. Because I think you take something simple like, hey, here's the philosophy of One Piece, and it's going to attract a whole new audience of people who probably going to be paying attention to One Piece otherwise.
So that video is all One Piece fans. Because it was a 10 out of 10 when I released it, total flop. And then like a day after I released it, it spiked. And it was everyone being like, just here for One Piece, do more One Piece. I knew I had reached a new audience when they were saying like, dub video, man. And I was like, this is not how my audience talks.
I got that. I think I first covered Berserk way back when, and I'm not really that was my first manga I read, and I got so much attention from those videos. But the thing is like then everybody just got mad that I wasn't doing more of them. And I was like, I'm going to be written word or novels over everything else. I'm not going to be a manga channel. And I think it's one of those kind of like the Ring of Sauron, because I know there are a lot of booktubers who realize, hey, books does have like a little bit of a ceiling, but manga is almost limitless, and they made the full transition. And I understand that. This isn't anything that I was ever going to do for a career, so I'm able to just keep it where I'm at,
and also you like books more than you like manga. And I think that's actually really important. Like for some people, like Murphy really likes manga. So when she starts making just a lot of manga videos, you can just tell she loves it.
Sure.
And like you like some manga, I know you do, but like you're not like a manga guy.
No. I was a huge comics guy for the longest time, and it just I think by the time I was starting this channel, I was more back just on to just reading just novels, because I think partly because American comics just kind of fizzled out a little bit, and I think that's why I was so resistant to manga for a while, because I full on ignorance here is I'd seen my kid watch some anime and stuff. I was like, that's too much for me. And I just thought it was all like that, just all over the top and ridiculous and silly. And I didn't realize, with a lot of these manga publishers, if your book doesn't sell, you get fired. So they have to be really, really good. Unlike here, it's like they'll let them fail for decades before they move on.
I think at DC and Marvel, if your book doesn't sell, you get promoted.
Yeah. Seems to be the way it does. You get to make a movie too. Yeah. But so I think that's when it just kind of said, okay, I'm going to move into to read some more manga. But as far as like covering it on this channel, I mean, it was never anything I was going to do, and no shade whatsoever to people who did do it, or just say that they don't really actually like it. But I think for me, I was never going to make that transition. So I got a lot of new subscribers and a whole new group of viewers, but then they got annoyed that I mean, I still, if anybody comments on my One Piece videos at all, it's just like, why haven't you continued? Making more of them. Like, because, my audience isn't really, my audience that sticks around isn't really interested in that very much. And I'm a pretty streaky manga reader too. So
yeah, that's the thing. I can't like read manga all the time. Like I like One Piece, but I don't read it consistently enough to make it through like the giant backlog. Because there's just so much. I've got Berserk sitting on my shelf because I thought I would do like a philosophy of Berserk video. I feel like that would do okay and it would probably be interesting, but I just never bring it to my desk and start flipping through.
I think there's a lot of material there for you to work with Berserk, definitely.
But with you, Mike, you have like a defined thing you do, and there are people who look for it. Like you do Stephen King. You've got like the horror angle here. Ronald Malfi, apparently. I don't know who Ronald Malfi is, but I've heard
author I just really fell in love with recently. Yeah.
And so like you've kind of got like some stuff people expect from you, and that's really valuable too. And it's going to make people feel like you're offering them something, even if it's a smaller audience. Like you're doing something cool, and I think that's like what's really important about it. It would be really lame if you were just like, screw it, I'm going to chase the algorithm at all cost and do nothing but like old man reads One Piece or something. I mean, you're not that old, but it would be like that, right? Like,
well, pretty soon, I think they're going to be downsizing at the company here pretty soon. I might be looking for ways to chase the algorithm a little bit. I might be taking some of those ridiculous sponsorship offers I get and always turn down, but no, this was never anything I said I wanted to do for a career. I probably would try to do a little bit more research about what's doing really, really well right now and things like that. But for me, it's like, I will do, I like to listen to my audience. Some people be like, oh, just do whatever you want. I'm like, I mean, I do, because like not very many people watch the horror content that I put out, but that's something that I want to do, but for me, I try to listen to my audience and give them what it is that they're looking for. So I have to realize that most viewers don't actually leave comments. I'll think, oh, there's lots of demand for this, and then I'll do it, and I'll be like, oh, I guess there wasn't so much after all.
And the people who leave comments are weirdos. And I don't mean like they're bad people. I just mean like the fact that they are the type of person who would actually type a comment makes them weird already, because they're like a portion of 1%. It's like when you found out that something like 90% of tweets are produced by like 0.1% of the users. And it's like, oh, okay, so people who use Twitter all the time are weirdos. So if you calibrate your world based on what people are saying on Twitter, you're calibrating for weirdos. And so you might get a lot of comments that are like, hey, I would love it if you did like a top 10 Stephen King stories between the time when he stopped doing cocaine and before and like 20 people could ask you for it, and they would be the only 20 people that watched because like they're the weirdos. It doesn't mean it's always not worth making, but it just means you have to be careful about like listening too much. You want to listen to your community, but you don't want to listen too much because you can be led astray actually by just some particularly loud voices.
That's true. I mean, that's the only feedback I get, so that's what I usually will roll with. But it's I mean, year 6 of doing this, and it's definitely not down to a science. There's a lot of guesswork involved. And when it comes with the good old YouTube overlords, it's always, as soon as you think you got to figure it out, they change it anyway. So I think I would be too scared to go career with it. But I am trying to branch out. For the longest time, I was like, I TikTok doesn't seem like the audience for me or whatever. And then I was just like, you know what does it hurt? If it's just some other way to get your name out there, because I'll be honest, this platform does sometimes make it a little difficult for the creators to really grow in many regards. So any outreach I can, I mean, I was already doing like Instagram and stuff like that. To me, I was like, God, do I really want one more social media? But I was like, it's just do like you're doing with all the other ones. I guess, the marketing side of it, when you do this all by yourself, you got to try to do those to stay relevant, I guess. say relevant, if you want to kind of grow, because I think enough relevance at this point. I mean, I think that like no one knows who I am or whatever, but every time there's like a con or something like that, 1 billion people come up to me. I'm like, wow, I had no idea you watched. That's great. That's awesome. Thank you so
and
much.
like you are, I mean, Christopher would say this. We have a mutual friend, Christopher Rocchio. He friends with him first, actually. You helped save that series.
Yeah.
This series that's like huge. You started talking about it. Other people picked it up, kind of gains momentum. But if it weren't for you, that series would have been canceled. It might not have been picked up by Bain.
Tells me. I mean, I'm grateful that he says something like that, because I'm like he doesn't need me anymore. But because I think once Daniel picked this stuff up, it really just went to another stratosphere. The funniest thing about that was,
but you want to be like a tastemaker.
But for the longest time, I was known as like the guy who would kind of introduce people to that series. And then I actually had people being like, "Hey, Daniel was talking about this sci-fi series called Sun Eater. Have you ever heard of it?" I'm like, "Yeah. I've heard of it."
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that works. But with things like that, I'm always try to help out some authors and stuff. But what I tell Christopher, that series, if you weren't a good writer, it wouldn't have mattered how much I recommended it. So he did the heavy lifting. I'm just glad I could help him out.
And you're going to be the MC at Christopher's gala.
Yeah, you're coming, right?
Yeah, man. I felt like I maybe could have emailed him and been like, "Hey, can I get a free ticket?" But I just bought one. I was like, you know what? Like, this is my buddy. I'm just going to buy it because I just want to go. And I bought it like the moment it was announced.
Yeah, so he asked me before he actually have everything in stone, and then I just was like, "Hey, I got some good news. I'm good." I was like, I heard other people talking about it, so I thought it was like out of the bag. And I'm like, "Yeah, we haven't actually announced it yet." I was like, "Whoops!" So that right there shows you what you guys are in store for in November with me and a microphone.
I'm looking forward to it because knowing Christopher, he's going to look deeply uncomfortable the entire time. While Jenna, like his wife, runs it because she's the one who actually organized the thing.
Yeah. It's I emceed for him and Ryan Cahill when they were out here. Or I went to Dallas with them, and then Christopher came back here to the Woodlands right after that. And he puts on his game face, but you can tell this is not his favorite bit of it. Is like talking. And I guess I think with most authors, it feels like you probably are mostly introverted. So it probably is it's one of those things you feel like you got to do, not that you really want to do.
And if someone's like, "What's going on in this book?" Well, you're like, "Well, I wrote it."
Yeah.
Like you just, I've given you all the information that you need, like, because I put the damn book out. I think there's a chance he's coming to Austin for his book tour. And I think if he does the thing in Austin, I'll be there. I might be involved, but I don't know. You have to wait for like a bunch of people to know. But of course, like, it's like one of those things where it's like Christopher doesn't make any of those decisions. It's like his publisher makes decisions, and then like bookstores have to make decisions, and then you find out. But I think it's really cool that you've been able to like be with him for like such a long, like, how many books were out when you started reading that series?
Demon in White had just come out.
Wow. Yeah. So
and he was actually saying that, like, because of the virus that shall be named, he's saying he was pretty much just going to go back to work full time. Because this wasn't gonna work. His publisher was probably gonna drop him, and so it was great. I put out that review of. I mean, he sent me a review copy, and the thing is like I get so many review copies. Obviously, I sometimes I tell people it might be 3 years from now before I even get to it. This is when I was still relatively new at this. For whatever reason, someone introduced us, and we started emailing back and forth, and we just started talking about Dune, which I can do it at length. And I was okay. This guy's really cool. I want to check out his stuff. So for me, it's like, is it somewhat of a cheat code when an author like mingles with his commoners? I mean, somewhat. To me, it's like if I feel like you're just doing it just so I'll read your book, that's one thing. But I think by now, Christopher's a very, very genuine guy. And that's a good way to get my attention. Talk to me about Dune. And he actually, cat out of the bag, Christopher. It's been 6 years. I can go ahead and say this now. He actually found my channel because I was dunking on Name of the Wind, which he has opinions about.
Good. I've had to hear it.
I don't know how that happened, but it's been fun. It's been fun. And I feel
all Name of the Wind haters here, by the way. All of us are Name of the Wind haters. So
I mean, I thought big philosophy guy like you would tell me why I'm wrong about it.
No, I think it's crap.
It's
Like, I think it's total
what I
crap.
always tell people, like, oh, well, he's such a beautiful writer. I could listen to him describe the phone book. I'm like, well, that's basically what that book is. It's just describing grass growing or whatever. I was like, if you're reading an author just for their writing to be beautiful, there's way better options out there. I mean, I was like, I have Christopher, who I think is just as beautiful of a writer as Patrick Rothfuss is, and he actually writes, so there's that. And I don't want to get into that because George, like someone told George he was going to die at Worldcon or something like that. And
I have a thought about that if you want to hear it. Yeah, I mean, so someone asked George basically like at Worldcon, you're going to die. Who's going to finish your series?
Yeah.
And my view is like that person should never be allowed back at like a con.
I honestly have to say the moderator should have controlled that better.
Yeah,
if I had been modding that, stop. Yeah.
And look, I understand there are people who like hate George now. Whatever. There's two things to keep in mind though. One, George R. R. Martin has been doing stuff for like the science fiction and fantasy fandom for longer than most of us have been alive.
Right. Yeah.
He like throwing parties at cons, helping new writers. I remember reading his blog and he would just recommend some debut from some unknown writer and I would go pick up the book sometimes, right? Just to check it out. So one, he's like earned his right to like just be at a con and like, okay. And two, if fans like ask questions that make authors not enjoy being at cons, don't be surprised when they don't want to go to cons anymore.
Right.
Because cons used to be a place where like writers could gather and also some very active fans would come. And if you turn it into like a thing where it's like, George, dance, monkey, dance, and like you throw breadcrumbs at him or something until he like gives you the right response.
Well, man, as someone who's been reading A Song of Ice and Fire since the year 2000, I'm as frustrated as anybody, but I still would not say so. I'm still... maybe it's just the way I was brought up. I just can't be mean to somebody, much less in person, even online. Really, it's really, really hard for me. I just can't be mean to somebody. Maybe it's because I got picked on by my brother my whole life, who was kind of a bully living at home with me, But I don't know. Something about that. I just don't. It's like I could have opinions about, hey, I'm not the biggest fan of this artist, but if I saw him in person, I'd be professional and I'd be nice, and hell, I'd probably gush a little bit, even if it was someone that I was just like lukewarm on. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I was raised, I guess. I don't know. I still think that whoever the moderator was, they should have controlled that better from what I have been told.
I mean, I remember seeing when Brandon Sanderson started releasing updates on YouTube, right? And that was kind of a big new move for a big author. I remember seeing some early comments on those that were like about his weight. Like, oh, he really needs to lose weight if he wants to live long enough to write the '𝕬𝕜𝕝. I was like, man, if you're saying this stuff about one, they read this stuff, okay? Well, hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he pays someone a decent
now he
wage
does,
to read it for him, right?
Now he has people to do it for him, yeah.
But and two, writers don't owe you this, right? Like,
Sure.
and like I'm frustrated about A Song of Ice and Fire. I have told my buddy Jimmy, Fantasy Network, before, I will not read I would never reread the series, A Song of Ice and Fire, unless I knew the last book was going to come out. I wouldn't even reread it if like the next book was going to come out. I understand other people disagree with this, but like that's how frustrated I felt about it, right? And I didn't start at the beginning, right? I picked it up with the TV show, and yet like I can't be like personally mad at George R. R. Martin. Like he doesn't owe this to me, and so I feel. I feel very frustrated on behalf of him that so-called fans would treat him like this or would treat any author like this.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I mean, I get that some people are like, oh, you make a promise to your readers when you do this. And I'm like, look, I want my book. But the thing is like, I don't want to say it's like a blessing in disguise, but what it taught me is that there are other great series out there, because at the time I was so frustrated by that. I would have never found Joe Abercrombie if he had finished The Song of Ice and Fire, because that's what I found First Law while I was waiting for new Song of Ice and Fire. And then I just kept going on. And then I started the channel, and that opened up a whole new world of recommendations, So it sucks, but it's still where it is still maybe my favorite fantasy series of all time, And again, it's frustrating, but I would never attack an author for something like that. That's insane.
I also think if he can get the next book written, he'll be able to write the last one.
Well, I don't know. I said that with the Dance of Dragons too.
Because he's been complaining about the fact that Daenerys is like still in Marine for so long.
That made
like,
me seem not. Yes, I remember the blog days.
Yeah, that's like the hardest part of it. And if he can just get her out of there in a maybe he can finish up the series, and maybe it'll be better than the TV show.
Well, what I said about what happened on the show is like he's a good enough writer that even if the ending was still the same, it'd be good the way that he does it because he's a competent writer.
Yeah, the ending of the TV show just felt incredibly fast, and it felt like some of the stuff came out of nowhere. Like, like, hey, we're just gonna settle this by having like we're all gonna meet in this like courtyard and then decide who's king. Like, for 20
it's so
years,
wild to think that like, people have their revisionist history now, and they try to make it sound like actually it wasn't good for its last 3 years. There were people counting down how many sleeps they had until the last season started. There were people that obsessed with it, and I think about the last episode. I was actually looking at my watch.
Yeah,
waiting for it to end.
It's crazy how quickly it went downhill, because there were some great moments in those later seasons. My God, dude, when Daenerys brings dragons onto Westeros for the first time, like in battle, and Jon like sees them, I think is that happen? Is that right? Those details right? But anyway, like the first battle with dragons on Westeros, I was like, yes, like finally.
I said the internet was melting after that episode. Yeah,
I've been
waiting
like,
for this. Oh, actually, it wasn't good since season 5. I'm like, come on,
no, people will do this a lot. You know, if like some artist becomes unpopular for like whatever reason, like he does.
I've been saying this since Creed. Yeah, Creed sold like 50 million albums because none of us bought them, right?
Exactly. The world is actually full of Nickelback fans, guys.
Right.
This is actually true. And people like want to like revive. It's always revisionist history. I never liked them. They were never good. No, they were good, or they were at least good enough that enough people could like them.
Bro, I watched the Nickelback documentary and I was singing along with every word. So
I sort of never had encountered Nickelback until I heard all the jokes about people hating Nickelback.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, okay, I guess people hate Nickelback. And then I found out how popular they were.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying, like, I don't know, if someone told me, like, did you know Avril Lavigne? Like, everybody hates Avril Lavigne. I'll be like, I mean, she's not exactly someone I'd go listen to, but she sold a lot of records.
Well, it's like my oldest kid was like, why does everybody hate Taylor Swift now? I was like, well, it wasn't until she got on the football games, and then it's all the NFL fans got mad about it. You know, but I think we're living in a time where it seems like everybody just has to talk themselves out of liking something. And I don't know if it's just like because of social media or Reddit or shit posting or whatever the hell it is everybody does now. But it's just like, can anything come out anymore? Like, I know a lot of people that went and saw the new Superman movie and they liked it. And like 2 weeks later, like, oh, actually I didn't. I'm like, you were just telling me about all the reasons that you liked it. Like last week, what happened? Like, oh, I just thought about it more. I was like, oh, so you read a bunch of shit from Zack Snyder fans online and now you're mad about it, right? And it's just like, why are we talking ourselves out of liking stuff now?
Yeah. Just enjoy things. And I think it's because also people haven't learned how to be critical of something, like to engage in criticism without meaning I'm tearing it down, right? Like literary criticism does not mean I'm pointing out all of its flaws.
Absolutely.
It means I'm like fully engaging with the text. Absolutely. You can do TV criticism too, but what people think is criticism is being like, here are the 12 things I hated about this show.
That's why when I do my reviews now, I'll do the what makes it good or bad. I'm like, no, this isn't necessarily saying it's bad, but maybe these are some things that didn't work for me. It might not work for you. You got to put it that way now because that people don't understand that constructive criticism is okay.
Yeah. And like, I told you before we started recording, Disquiet Gods, book 6 of Sun Eater, is my least favorite of the series. I am a weirdo in this regard. Most people don't agree with me. Most people are like, it's one of the best. But I also am a weirdo because I thought Empire of Silence was good from page 1.
Same here.
I was totally bought in from page 1. And I can give you my reasons. Since you haven't finished it, I wouldn't talk about it yet, but I could give you my reasons for it. And the funny thing is, one, I've also told Christopher this fact. Like I'll talk to him about a series and like things that I think are good and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I think it's your weakest one for like these 3 reasons. And he could tell though that they weren't like, here's why you suck.
Right. Yeah.
It was like, here's me, someone who actually likes your series, thinking about the strengths and weaknesses of the individual installments. And I could tell you a list of those things for each of those books. It was actually me showing that I was a fan and that I was enjoying it by being able to like critically rank it. But as soon as everyone hears it's my least favorite, they're like, "Oh, you hate it."
Oh, well, you tell you how here it is with me. When it comes to, I'm at the part of every Sun Eater book I'll get to since Howling Dark. Every Sun Eater book, I'll get to a certain point where I start questioning my intelligence and wondering if I'm smart enough to be reading this. And every time that happens, people are like, "Oh, so you hate it?" I'm like, no, I'm just confused, because I was like, I'm not a really, really deep when it comes to science fiction. If it's not Dune, I'm really, really just a surface level sci-fi reader. I just, give me space opera. I watched too much Star Wars, read too many Star Wars books, maybe, where it's just like, just give me some spaceships, give me some lasers, and I'm good with my science fiction. I've never read a Gene Wolfe. I've never read Alistair Reynolds, things like that just really, really heavy sci-fi. I haven't even read Asimov, so that's one of those things where it's like, that's a me thing. I kind of struggle with that, but I think the books are brilliant. I'm just saying I'm confused at what's going on right now because I haven't read a lot of books like that before. But the reason I liked Empire of Silence is like, I'm a character first guy, and that's one of the best character studies I had read. So whenever I list Empire of Silence as maybe my favorite in the series, people are like, "Well, it's like my least favorite." I'm like, why? Why?
I liked it from the very beginning. I liked Hadrian. I as a person like Hadrian less and less. But I still think he's a good character. Thinking about those other series you mentioned, Mike, I remember I watched your video about classics that you're avoiding.
Right. Yeah.
And I think you said Foundation was one of them. I actually think you would like Foundation.
Really? Okay.
I'll just say, but like, without any judgment, I think you would hate Book of the New Sun. I think you would read
told me the same.
I think you would read it and be like, "This is bullshit." Like, what
Christopher told me, his exact phrase was, "If you think my books are confusing, man, you really ain't gonna get Gene Wolfe." He's like, "I'm not even sure Gene Wolfe understood what he was talking about."
No. People will tell me they're like, "Yeah, like in Book of the New Sun, X, Y, and Z," and me, it's one of my favorite science fiction series, and I'm like, "What? That's in the book?" Like it's. Because I've only read them once, and people are like, "You really got to read them more than that." I think you would hate them. I don't think it's the kind of story that you dig. Just like from what I know, right? I just don't think it would be the kind of thing that really resonated with you. But Foundation, actually, I think you would like a lot. I think you would like Foundation a lot.
I found that people, if they want me to read something, they will just tell me, "Oh, it's like Dune." They'll just tell me that because they know it'll make me read it. I get that with First Law too. "Oh, it's like First Law," and then I'll read it like, "That's nothing like First Law." I'm like, well, I know it's one of your favorites, and I just want you to read it. And I'm like, that's a really shitty thing to do. So I think a lot of people will tell me something is very, very Frank Herbertish if they want me to read it. And I feel like it's kind of just like, okay, well, I got to do my extra research now. Because, I mean, honestly, I don't get a lot of Dune out of Sun Eater like everyone else does. I know he's a fan, but I think there's other influences there. Clearly, I can't say of Gene Wolfe, but from what I've heard a lot of people say, yes.
There's Wolfe. Definitely.
Dan Simmons.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that Christopher made a mistake early on in his career, which is that he talked about his influences a lot. He would tell people what he was influenced. And now everyone's like, "Oh, he's influenced by this. So it's just like that." Right. Because he sort of did it. He was being nice. He was just answering questions. But now people want to make the comparisons a little too fast. I don't think there's much like Dune. Hadrian is a very, very different character from Paul.
Oh yeah,
and is also a very, very different character from Severian from Book of the New Sun. So I think people tend to overstate those influences a little bit too much.
I think maybe 𝕤𝕗𝕟𝕣𝕗 was kind of almost like a deconstruction of the fantasy hero. I think Hadrian's almost starting to feel like Christopher's almost like a reconstruction of the fantasy hero. That's why
Paul doesn't want to be a messiah.
Yeah.
At some point, Hadrian's just like, "I guess I'm the Messiah."
It's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah. This must be.
Like I'm at a part, and this is vague, guys. If you haven't read it, it's not. But at a part in the book where he's having some of these visions, kind of like Paul have, and they're having completely different reactions to it. So I definitely don't think that. I think that in many regards, Christopher feels like he's, like I said, trying to reconstruct that hero much more than 𝕤𝕗𝕟𝕣𝕗, which was deconstructing it. And it's one of those where you can kind of flip it around, say it's actually the other way around. But he's very, very much. I told him the other day, if I was writing a review for your whole series, I would say imagine the 𝕤𝕒𝕟𝕣 written by Frank Herbert. That's what I'm starting to feel like with a lot of this stuff that's the Watcher stuff that's way over my head. So it's way above my pay grade of intelligence. I wasn't doled out a philosophy degree. I don't have like 4 PhDs in philosophy.
Well, you wouldn't learn about the Watcher stuff from a philosophy PhD, but when you're done, I'll gladly talk to you about some of the stuff that I think is going on there.
Okay.
But, if we said it too loudly here, people would.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people be like, "Oh, if you got any questions, let me know." I was just like, I got Christopher. I can just ask. Yeah. I can go straight to the source. That's a nice lifeline to have, obviously, when you know the author. But I try not to bother him because I fear sometimes that he takes his criticism, and I'm like, no. This is a me thing, not a you thing. Because he's telling me, he's like, "Oh, I struggled like hell writing that Watcher stuff," and I was like, "It's not you, me." Like he apologized to me when I had him a question in Kingdoms of Death. I asked him a question because I was reading it before it came out. And I asked him a question about it, and he was like, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry. It's weird." And I'm like, "It's not. It's okay. It's not what I was saying at all." So I try not to blow up his cell phone too much while I'm reading it because I don't want him taking it that way.
Yeah, I would be glad to give you my sort of spin on what I think is going on if you don't want to bother Christopher.
Well, no, because now that you've told me this is your least favorite, I'm going to hit you as soon as I'm done with it and ask you what didn't work. I think I'm like. A bunch of people already told me chapter 40 like changes the whole series. So, and then people are saying that's a lot of people's breaking point. So I'm at 38 right now.
Oh, okay.
So we'll find out very soon. Hey, here's a spoiler. I probably won't get it, and I'll have to reread it.
But hey, even though it was my least favorite, I was still when Christopher got me an arc of Shadows Upon Time, I was still like, all right, let's read it. I was still excited. Like, and I'm going to the gala, to celebrate it. If that were going to be when I'd pick it up, I'd be reading it on the plane back home. I am a fan of that series. And so even if it was my least favorite book, very excited to see where he takes it. And I just like, I love it. It's just like, it's a big, ambitious series that feels kind of classic, but feels very modern at the same time.
Right.
It's the exact kind of thing I want to see more of. And I just want to support it in part just out of like, you remember like when Jupiter Ascending came out, that film? Did you see Jupiter Ascending?
Yeah, a lot of ways.
Dog shit movie. Yeah. Not a good movie. Not a good movie.
Oh, no,
but I really wanted it to succeed because I want a big space opera movie. Like I want.
What I said when I saw Jupiter Ascending, I was like, this is like if they said they were going to make Dune into a trilogy, and then they said, actually, let's go ahead and make it one movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that felt like. 3 movies kind of crammed into one. That has so much potential. It was horribly miscast. Yes. And I think we probably talk an hour about everything wrong with that movie, but it was like it had so much potential. And in studio throwing that kind of money at it, it could have been so good if they just took their time. That
could have been a really great 7-episode miniseries.
Mm.
Just kind of stretch it out for 7 hours.
Oh man, Rebel Moon. Oh,
just as long as Amazon isn't the production studio, it would have been excellent.
I mean, when it comes to adaptation, I'm just starting to turn into like old man shakes fist at clouds. So I've got the point, like, I don't even watch them. I mean, like everybody, like, you got to watch Andor. You've got to watch Andor. And I'm like, no, Disney, they blew it. They blew their opportunity. And it's like I've watched them kill this family member that I love over and over and over and over again, and keep bringing them back to life. Like the Stargate SG-1, they got him a sarcophagus or something. They keep bringing them back to life and then killing them over and over again. And people are like, oh, actually, this time it's really good. No, it's too late. It's too late. So it might be great. I'm just done with it.
I just gave up. I'm not really interested in more Star Wars stuff. Even though I've heard Andor's very good. And maybe it would appeal to me, but I don't want to sign up. I also just don't want to sign up for Disney Plus. Like, I just don't want to. Like, don't make me do this. So
as soon as my kid wasn't really vibing with the and here's the thing, he's reaching that age now. He's 13, so he's reaching that. We read Percy Jackson together, and he loved it because he's all into Greek mythology and stuff. He loved it. He just ate it up. It was perfect. It was like it's his Harry Potter, I think, and he just was so excited for the new adaptation on Disney, and he's reached that point now where it's not as good as the book. it's not as good as the book. And like, it rarely is, man. It's like, these are lessons you got to learn. You know, I don't say
Yeah.
nothing. I live it, but about episode 5 or 6, he's like, this is nothing like the book. He's like, I'm not having any fun. This is like all dark and brooding. This is not Percy Jackson. We're not having like any fun or whatever. And he like noped out. So as soon as he noped out in that, we were like, okay, Disney Plus is gone because we ain't watching Mandalorian anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's like one adaptation that I think is really, really good lately, and that was the Foundation series actually on Apple TV.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like the books.
That's what Christopher told me. Yeah.
And basically what they just said is like, this is like a cool premise. Now let's just go do something else.
See, I want every science fiction adaptation to go to Apple TV because I feel like they're doing science fiction better than everybody, man.
And they make it look really good. They make it look lived in.
Yeah.
Quality
over quantity on Apple, I think.
They're doing Blade Runner. Not Blade Runner. I'm sorry.
Neuromancer.
That's her. Yeah. They're doing Neuromancer.
Another book people tell me I will hate, but it is on my list.
There's a real chance, but I like William Gibson. I think Neuromancer's good. I think you wouldn't like the way it's paced, probably, because there's some weird parts about it. But like, man, like the very first line of Neuromancer is iconic. Like everybody knows it. And there's a reason why, man. Gibson is himself just a really, really good writer. I'm gonna look it up really quickly. I have a digital copy.
I said that I would read it before the Apple TV series came out, but I'm probably not end up not making that now. Yeah. But the thing was, like, the whole reason I did that with Foundation is like I just want to enjoy Foundation. I don't want to be grading it the whole time.
No, I understand.
And I'm glad I did because from what I understand, I don't know, like I said, the whole Three Emperors thing I thought was like incredible. And then I was telling Christopher about that. He was like, yeah, that's not in the book. I was like,
it's not in the book. It's not in the book. Yeah.
Damn, what a neat idea.
But the way that the book is written is much more like, here is like a mini story. Like, here's like a third of the book that tells you this era of the Foundation. Now we're going to skip ahead and here's like another era of the Foundation. And each book has like 3 or 4 of those. And so it's really the story of like the institution rather than like the individuals, if that makes sense. So
this sounds almost like the 2001 series.
Yeah, or a little bit like Canticle for Leibowitz.
I like that.
Right? Yeah, so that's why I think you might dig it, because it has that really kind of classic feel to it. Writing's pretty good, like it's really solid. You know, I'm no longer in the business of begging people to read books that I like, but sure. I think you would dig it. So
which one, Neuromancer or Foundation?
Oh, Foundation.
Okay.
Neuromancer, no, I don't think you'd like it. But here's the first line from Neuromancer. By the way.
I got the first 4 books. Yeah.
The first from Neuromancer. The sky above the port was the color of television tuned to a dead channel, and it's just like this great little setting. But you know exactly, it's like, well, they're describing nature like it's technology, right? Like that's how warped this world is. And then it just cuts to the main character like at a bar in Tokyo or something, and he's sad and he's drunk and he's going to get into a fight or something. And it's like, it's a good book. It's a good book.
Yeah. Sounds like Blade Runner.
It has
I've never read Philip K. Dick. I've never read William Gibson. I've never read a lot of these just heavy hitters in sci-fi that I get so many recommendations for. I mean, it took me until I started this channel to finally read Hyperion, and it's like one of my favorite books of all time now.
Yeah.
So I put stuff off for so long because I have an idea of what's up. Like Hyperion, the cover of that is like one of the coolest covers I've ever seen in my life. I've been obsessed with that cover since the 90s. And I was always like, what if I don't like it though? Will it ruin that for me? So there is a lot of these things where like they're held up in such high regard. I'm just like, I'm afraid I'll read them and not like them. Like Don Quixote, like I said, everybody loves it. And then I read it and I'm the one who doesn't like it. I'm afraid of that. So that's what keeps me from reading a lot of these things. Is I'm scared
if there's like,
I don't like them.
Yeah. And if there's like these classic science fiction novels, that might be like a project worth trying out. You know, I'm going to try 5 of them and I'll tell you if I like classic science fiction or something.
Well, I did like Canticle for Leibowitz, and I had a lot of people tell me that they didn't think I'd like that one. But I really, when it comes to dystopian, post-apocalyptic, I'm usually really into. Like I love Bradbury, obviously, he's one of the best. But I don't know. There's some things where I'm reading some sci-fi. Like I love Michael Crichton, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm more like almost like the thriller than I am the super 25th century, unless it is Star Wars or Star Trek, you know. It's again surface level. So it's tough for me, but I've always said I lean more in the fantasy and the horror, and the sci-fi is, you know, a distant third on the channel. Whereas
That
like
seems right. Yeah.
when it comes to movies or TV show, anything sci-fi I will watch. The bat shittier, crazier the is, the more I love it. I love it. It's just absolutely just nuts. So it's really, it's like Westerns. I'm not really wild about reading Westerns, but I'll watch any Western. It's crazy. I don't know.
So would you say probably, like, just speculating, is it like 60% fantasy, like 30% horror, like 10%
it's
sci-fi?
about 80% fantasy, I think. Okay. I've only really kind of hyped up the horror the last few years because I made it a point when I started this channel. I was like, the only horror author I read is Stephen King. So I was like, can I really be? It should just be fantasy, sci-fi, and Stephen King. I was like, what horror authors do you read? So I made it a point to try to get more horror authors, and some have been hits, some have been misses. But a lot more misses than not. But still, it's still very, 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 very low percentage.
But then you found 𝕤𝕠𝕟𝕣𝕟, and
you find one that works for you. Like I found, it's not a horror author, but Blake Crouch a couple years ago, and I did the same thing where I just burned through his books like crazy. So I think you find a particular author and you kind of want to just kind of keep going back to it. But I've been looking for a modern horror author for a while because King's not really writing horror anymore. So I've been needing to scratch that itch a little bit, and he's definitely done that. I'm excited to talk to him.
I kept hearing you talk about 𝕤𝕠𝕟𝕣𝕟. I was like, man, Mike is in love.
Yeah,
like, he's going to start writing love letters to this guy.
I think at some point you get so bogged down with a lot of because you start a new fantasy series, and what do you got? You got about a cast of a minimum of 50 characters. Yeah. You've got a few dozen continents and lands and kingdoms and all this shit you've got to learn just to be able to get into the story. You get to a horror story, well, it takes place on Earth. I already know Earth. There's no world building involved there. It's usually got about 2 or 3 main characters. Okay, cool. It's easy to get into. It's low commitment, and you don't feel like you have to empty the file cabinet upstairs to make room to learn a whole new mythology. So that's what makes horror just like just a light, easy read for me. And I wanted to make sure I was doing more of it because when you start 4 new fantasy series every month, you're going to start getting confused. You're going to start to be like, this is too much work. And that's how you get burned out. So
this is what I think is true, but tell me if I'm wrong because you know more about this than I do. Horror, there's a lot of standalones.
Yeah.
And then, but fantasy, we're very series heavy. So for horror, you could be like, I'm going to try this new author. I'll read 1 book. But if you read like, I don't know, let's say you read Red Rising, you didn't like it, like the first book that much. I don't know if you did or not, but like you didn't, people are going to be like, no, you have to read the second one. Yeah. And you're like, wait, man, I didn't sign a contract to read another 600 pages. Like, but with horror, you can be like, I read the book. It wasn't good. I'm done with this guy.
I've been one and done with several horror. I usually like to say I'll give any author, a second try. But I usually think after 2 books, if it isn't clicking, you can't force it, you think. But it's kind of funny you bring that up because when I read the first Red Rising book, it was like the first 6 months I had this channel. I did not like it. I did not. Yeah. It's like, I was hoping for Ender's Game and I got Hunger Games instead. And I was like, what is this? And a good friend of mine, the only real life friend I have that reads the kind of books I do, he's like, well, I think you should try book 2 because it is probably a little bit more what you're looking for. And I'm glad I did because now it's one of my favorite series ever. And I go back and look at it now and I'm like, okay, well, I like book 1 better in hindsight. But yeah, it is like that. It is tough to tell people, this series is a trilogy, but you need to read at least 2 of them. If you've read 2 of them, you might as well just go ahead and read the trilogy.
Yeah. No, I read the first 2 Red Rising books, and I didn't finish the 3rd one.
No kidding. You didn't like Golden Sun?
I thought it was fine. I was listening to an audiobook, and then I think I just put it down for a while, and then I just never went back to it. And I'd have to probably restart it to understand it, because it's been 2 years. And
anyone who's read both, I do not understand why people keep comparing. I keep yelling at the guys at Tudor Ramble to stop comparing Red Rising and Sun Eater. They are nothing alike. Yes, both authors love Roman history. That's it. They're nothing alike, man.
No, they're very, very different series. And they're like space operas, but the scale is totally different too, Sun Eater is like an entire galaxy.
Yeah. If you are more like me, you read the Star Wars EU and stuff, of course, you'll love Red Rising, man. It's that with a hint of Frank Herbert in it. That's how I feel about Red Rising. It is very much Star Wars. It doesn't care about it being realistic. It doesn't care if you're like, that would never happen. Of course it wouldn't. That's what's great about it, is because you can bend the rules a little bit. So it definitely leads more in that Star Trek, Star Wars vein, whereas something like Sun Eater, I don't know. I forget what they said. they told me because I was talking about reading this, and someone said I'm really interested in reading the series. I heard it's like Dune meets Star Wars, and I was like, I don't think I would go there. And that's when I made the Frank Herbert writing the silmarillion kind of comparison, and someone was like, "Oh, okay, that's a little more than I expected." I was like, way more complex ideas and stuff than a Star Wars would.
So, what else have you been reading that you've like thought was really good lately? Has anything surprised you aside from 𝕤𝕠𝕟𝕣𝕟?
There's a book I read by this author called Benjamin Lyer earlier this year. It's called The Failures. That was really awesome. It was one of those where he took like 6 different kind of subgenres and kind of crammed them into one, like almost like a Dark Tower kind of way, but somehow it worked. That's a very, very hard line to walk. And this is a debut author, and I was just completely blown away. That'll be one of my books of the year this year, I think. But I also think that it's kind of weird because it's one of my favorite books I've read, but I'm also like thinking I'm not going to continue with the series, and that was Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. Is absolutely brilliant, but it was incredibly frustrating. Does that make any sense? I try to tell people this is like it was an amazing book. I don't think I want to continue with that series though, because of the way that the narrative is. And some people tell me that different. Philip, as we both know, is very, very. I tease Philip that he's a very light critic. Everything Philip reads, he loves, and I wish I could be like that. He is really, really patient. Philip noped out in this series. I'm like, what in the world could this series have been about? So with book one, I was like, I feel like book one could be a standalone, and I feel like that's the way that I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
So
I'm basically not reading series right now. Aside from finishing up 𝕤𝕤𝕟𝕕, not reading series. I am demanding a fulfilling story in one volume. That's my new thing currently.
That's why I think that's why I'm really enjoying reading the 𝕤𝕠𝕟𝕣𝕟 books, because they're 340 pages or so. I'm done. Yeah. They're not huge bricks. It's not taking weeks to read them. And like I said, the world building is slim because it's like I said, it's on Earth, so it's easy to get into. I think.
And I know some people, they like series because it gives them something to keep going back to. Most fantasy readers are reading for like a sense of immersion. They just want to get lost in a world. And, a 12-book series gives them that sense of being lost in that world. But I also think it leads to a lot of laziness on the writer's parts when it comes to just telling a really great story. And I don't have anyone in particular in mind here, but it's just, I would like to just read a lot more really good 300 to 500 page books for a while.
I've said let's normalize the trilogy again. I've said it's not a challenge. You don't have to make sure each book in the series is longer than the one that came before it.
Yeah.
Because I'll name names. Wind and Truth, most recent Brandon Sanderson book, did not need to be 1,200 pages. You could have told that story in half that, Brandon.
I DNF'd it. I read 200 pages and said, no, thank you. And I walked away.
I don't think I'll be coming back for the second half. I think that series just become something where I'm not taking shots at anyone, but I'm just like, I don't think I'm the target demographic for that series anymore. I think it's very much kind of weaning more into the younger audiences a little bit.
I think it's very much written for teens now, in a way that Sanderson kind of always has been, but it's like much more for teens now.
I think what we love Brandon Sanderson is because he was so communicative with his fans. Like I was like, this guy like updates his progress on his website and then like apologizes for not updating the status bars. I was like, whereas we've had radio silence from George for a decade at the time we had, and I was just like, that's what really made me want to give him a try, because I thought that was just really cool that he was so open with his audience. And at the time I had a strict, I'm not starting a series again until it's done. I had that rule at the time, but I went ahead and started Stormlight because he wrote so fast.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was going to be, hey, I'm going to take an 8-year break between book 5 and 6. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I think Sanderson is just overextended. Like he's just writing too many things.
Yeah.
Too many series. He's got too many plans. He's got too many projects. And so he's just not giving any book the time it probably deserves. It's just my sense of it, right? Maybe real fans would disagree. And I thought, like, if he's not giving these books the time they deserve, why am I giving them the time? Yep. It's kind of as simple as that for me. And I realized I just wasn't having fun while reading Wind and Truth. And if a Brandon Sanderson book isn't fun, then what else am I going to get out of this book?
Right.
Because this is pure candy.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't read the last Mistborn book, and I was like, I think I'm going to go ahead because I didn't like book 4 of Stormlight Archive, but I was like, okay, you know what? That could have been kind of the thing where it's sandwiched between two big ideas, and then about halfway through Wind of Truth, I was like, nope, I think that this is just the direction that the series is going in, and it's awesome. People are still loving it. It's awesome, man. I was mixed on it. I wasn't just full on hate. And the funny thing is you know that you can go into YouTube Studio and you can look at the analytics for each video, and it will tell you how many subscribers you gained or lost in a video. And if you look at the one that I did for Rhythm of War way back when it first came out, and I have it's 4 digits of how many people unsubscribed to me while watching that video because I was negative on it. And then when I put out Wind and Truth, I was very, very mixed on it. And I was expecting the same thing to happen. And no, but people were mad this time that I wasn't more critical of it. So it's like weird how things can shift over the course of 3 years, right?
Yeah. That's wild. I try really hard not to look at anything like how many people disliked something or how many people unsubscribed. I try really hard not to look at it.
That was the only one I did just because I was getting such a wild reaction to it. And the thing was, like, in hindsight, people seem like they agree with me now, but I just think they weren't ready to hear it back then.
Well, there was still a lot of hope with Rhythm of War. Like, okay, it was kind of like, okay, even though it's book 4 of 5, it's kind of like, all right, the second book in a trilogy isn't always the best. Middle book syndrome is real because it's setting you up for the third book.
Right.
So we all kind of said to ourselves, all right, there was a bit of a slog here, but it's kind of like reading Wheel of Time, right? There is a slog, but the ending is worth it. I actually think that's true for Wheel of Time.
I agree.
And with Wind and Truth, within 200 pages, I was just like, it's not even being written in a way that makes me want to care about the ending. You know, like,
I wish I could tell you it got better.
No one has told me. I haven't heard from a single person that I made a mistake by DNFing.
I mean, like right when it came out, there was several people that were like, "Oh, it's the best Stormlight book" or whatever, and they've kind of been like Homer on The Simpsons, kind of backing back into the bushes.
Yeah.
Since then, it's like I'm not telling anyone they're wrong. Definitely not.
It absolutely cannot be the best, though. No, it cannot be the best.
But I don't think that there's anyone saying it's the best Storm. I think about, did I change or did Brandon change? Because I'm like, would I like Words of Radiance as much today? I don't know. I've read so much since then, but when I read Words of Radiance that first time, I was like, this is incredible. This is the kind of fantasy series I've always thought that I could get, from a modern fantasy author. And a decade later, it's like, I don't think I'll be continuing with the series when it does resume.
I also think the title is bad. Like, okay, Way of Kings, that's a really strong title. Words of Radiance, strong title. Oathbringer, strong title. Rhythm of War, very good title for a not good book. And then Wind and Truth,
weakest cover too.
It's just like, damn. And that's the last Michael Whalen cover we're ever gonna get too. He's gone. He's out of the game.
Did he just like retire?
Yeah, he's just like, my last one will be the last Brandon Sanderson book. Or the last.
Well, he needs to get Christopher's artist. He's a badass.
Yeah, is that Kieran something? Yeah.
He always tells me his name, and I always forget. And I always feel bad. Jeff Brown's doing some really good stuff too. I got involved a little bit with the art direction with Broken Binding.
Okay.
I was helping out on it. They were being very sympathetic because I kind of like was the middleman in getting that deal done with Broken Binding and Christopher, and so I felt like they felt like they had to include me with like the art direction, and I'm like, Petrick's describing stuff about like characters wearing a ring on the wrong finger. I think Petrick has this, but hey, I thank you guys so much for involving me in this. And I was like, I had no idea how much went into art direction before I was a part of those meetings. And I was like, I could not do this.
Art direction seems like it takes a certain kind of skill and personality that I know I do not have. Yeah. But Petrick seems to have it.
Make it epic. Make it awesome.
Yeah. Like I would find an artist I like and be like, here's the description. Go for it, right? Yeah. But that's not what they need. That's not what an art director does. Petrick is probably like the perfect guy for a thing like that.
He's very, very detail oriented. I think he was doing such a great job with those. I was like, they asked me what scene would you like us to make, and I did that. Where they find the quiet stuff and Empire Silence. And I didn't tell him anything about it. I was like, hey, can we just do that scene? And I let Patrick like describe exactly what to put in there. So they're there. That's what I got. And I think someone paid for me with Christopher's Kickstarter for the Diamond Edition. Someone paid for me to be able to commission a piece of art with their artists. And so I came up with like the beheading scene and stuff. So it's cool that people want to include me with that. But I was like, man, art direction is way beyond my pay grade, you know, because like I said, I would be like like George Lucas is a director, faster, more intense. That's what he tells everybody, faster, more intense. He doesn't actually direct anybody. That would be me with art direction. Just make it epic, man.
And we've seen how that works out for Lucas.
I know my strengths, and that is not one of them. You know.
Yeah.
I think. So what you got coming up here soon? What are you going to be working on? I know that you're obviously you got some real life stuff happening very soon. But when you return to the game, you know, do you have any big plans in store for the channel?
Well, you know, I've always got videos in the works. As of recording, I have been almost a month without a video, but it's because I'm working on some big videos. I'm trying to do one that's about, well, I'll be very vague, but it's about like media criticism and David Foster Wallace. And so I'm trying to like bring the books back into the stuff, right? Like bring the books back a little bit, and talk about Infinite Jest in the middle of a video. And so that's going to be a bit of an experiment to see if I can make it work. See if I can keep an audience caring.
See, you know, I sometimes think maybe I should reel back the number of videos. And then I'm like, I just fear if I disappear for like 2 weeks, I just feel like I would drop out the algorithm completely. Yeah. You know, because I've done 3 videos a week for 6 years.
So I would think of it like this. How would your audience respond? Right. And I slowed down gradually for like a year and a half and then kind of hit this like typically 2 videos a month cadence. But my audience has also known that sometimes I take longer breaks. And so they're okay with it. For you, you've been doing like 3 videos a week for 6 years.
Yeah.
And if you suddenly were like, I'm taking a month off to make one giant video, they'd be like, what the hell, Mike? Like,
I think when you told me one time we talked off the channel, and I think you told me that you spend a good 12 to 15 hours on making a video. Is that right?
Yeah. Some of them much longer. I have a video, my next video that comes out it's on Nebula right now, but it'll be on YouTube soon. That's like a guide to Plato's Republic. Let me tell you all the work that went into this. I led a 3-month book club on my newsletter about it. I then wrote like something like an 11 to 12,000 word script based on my notes. I filmed 2 hours of raw footage. My editor worked on it and got it down to 1 hour and 15 minutes. I hired a voice actor to do some of the quotes for the video. You know, actually it was Alan Walker of the Library of Alexandria. And I hired an animator to do some animations at various parts in the video. Wow. So if you took it all the worker hours, all of the time it spent me there, we're probably looking at 200 hours for this video, not to mention the money I had to spend. And this video, by the way, I do not think will do well, but I had but I just wanted to make it really badly.
Passion. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, so I can look at it and say, I put that out. Yeah.
See, and that's a difference in our quality of content here, because I'll get home from work and at 6 o'clock, I'll sit down and be like, what am I going to record? And I will plan it. I will record it. I will edit it and do all that stuff before I go to bed that night.
And that's one way to do it. And there are people who want to watch that stuff too. You know, there was certain kinds of things I wanted to do that I knew would take more time.
Yeah.
But I also know that there are people who really like that kind of more laid back, casual, very natural style too. And I totally understand. It's actually a lot of what I watch. You know, I'll hear from other people on YouTube who do like book stuff. They're like, you watch my stuff? And I'm like, you know, they're not like huge channels. I'm like, yeah, because I think it's kind of fun to hear what people are talking about when they're talking about what they're reading.
Right.
You know, I find it very relaxing. And so I watch it. Yeah.
See, with your videos and with Philip's videos, with AP Canada's videos, I feel like I'm learning stuff, you know, and that's good. But I also, like I said, the downside of that is like I started being like, man, I'm pretty dumb. It's like, I think I'm not the smartest tech in the room, but sometimes I might be not be the dumbest either, So I like to fly, just under the radar. That's the way I like to look at it.
Yeah, but you do like finance stuff, man. And if you look at my business spreadsheets, you would know I don't have a finance background.
Yeah, that's it's when I was on with Brian over at BellTube, he was like trying to get me to talk about finance. I was like, dude, even I think this stuff is boring. No one wants to hear us talk about this. It's like, it's a very boring job. I mean, I take it seriously, but it's very, very boring.
Yeah. I want to ask you
to talk about it.
I want to ask you one question about your channel. I'm just really always curious about this. They're in YouTube analytics. It will tell you the other channels that your audience watches.
Right.
Do you ever look at that? Who are the channels that your audience watches?
I used to. Daniel always comes up. Daniel Green always comes up. Elliot Brooks, I think, is her name.
Okay.
We haven't really actually interacted very much, me and Elliot Brooks. There was several there for a while, and now John from Talking Stories coming up a lot. I think it's because we all do our videos together, our 𝕤𝕠𝕞𝕖𝕟𝕑 videos together. So I think that it started to feel like almost like a little bit of a community in that regard. But as far as like people that are bigger than me, Daniel's channel always comes up.
That one's just going to be easy to have overlap with because because he's so big. Yeah.
And I hear people all the time talk about that, like, hey, Mike, Murphy, and Daniel. And I'm just like, I wish I was as successful as they are, but that's great that you include me in that group there. That's lovely. Thank you.
But like Talking Story makes perfect sense. Like the overlap,
Yeah. Yeah. We're both old.
That's what it is.
With 𝕤𝕠𝕞𝕖𝕟𝕑, I just found out recently that I'm the youngest one there. So I was like, oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. I had no idea.
I
thought I was younger. I thought Brian was younger than me. So he just has more energy.
Philip is very spry. He might be old, but he's very spry. It's all the tennis he plays.
I think he's definitely, I mean, if you did like a thing about like, what age are you really? And we did like physicals and stuff. Yeah, Philip would like wipe the floor with me. It's like, I was out of breath just coming up the stairs to record this, so.
I understand.
It's there's a balance. It's like either I see that people either they eat whatever they want and they work out like crazy, or you have a more balanced diet and you don't work out at all. And I'm that. I eat proper. I have a very, very balanced diet, but I don't do a ton of exercise except just chasing the kids or going up and down the stairs. Or walking from the parking garage to my office. That's about it for me.
Yeah.
You'll see. You're pretty soon. When you have one kid, it's easy. When you have one kid, it's easy. Then they rope-a-dope you a little bit. And you think, oh, this ain't so tough. Then you have a second one, and then chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos happens.
Man, I don't know how I'm going to handle that chaos because my 2-year-old, he is like a menace, man. He, at 18 months, was trying to go down fireman's poles at playgrounds. And guess what? We would like kind of let him with like our hands near him. He can do it. He was able to do it. Like he is incredibly like physically precocious. Wow. He's like climbing on our refrigerator, and stuff. Like it's nuts in our house because of him. And we have a 3-month-old puppy, and those two are just like brothers in arms, dedicated to ruining my life. Every afternoon. I
think where I looked out is that both my kids slept. So I didn't lose the years there. I lucked out in there that both of them slept. Yeah. And I mean, they're insane. The thing was like the first one was like parents' dream. Second one was a maniac. Still is. Yeah. Still is.
And so, for kid 2, she's coming soon. Maybe by the time this video's out,
excited for you guys.
She'll be here. And I'm very excited. But yeah, that's another thing about having a kid is like, you just genuinely have no idea what you're going to get. Like they all kind of come preloaded with their own software and you don't get to pick it. And so will this be like an easygoing girl? Will she be a maniac too? I have no idea.
Well, what I tell everybody is that we're all rookies at this. No one ever goes into parenthood being like, oh yeah, I'm a 9-year vet. We're all rookies. We're all going to make mistakes. And,
I have friends who have, I have one set of friends who have 7 kids.
I can't even imagine.
And each time they're like, yeah, you just honestly never know what to expect each time you have one. Like each one of them's different. Each one of them's weird in their own way.
If I had started earlier, we probably would have had more. But yeah, I was at that. We talked about having number 3, and I was like, I'm not starting over with diapers and stuff at 40. No,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I feel very happy with 2.
It's a great number.
Maybe we'll have 3. We would have to do it fairly quickly, I think.
All the time. You get 4 seats in a car. You get to go ride a roller coaster together. You got 2 and 2. No one's got to ride by themselves. It's perfect. It's a perfect number. Perfect number. Well, man, listen, I'm excited for you guys. I'm so hyped for you, and I'm really, really excited that we get to hang out in November. It should be a blast. But just in case someone doesn't know, where can they find your content?
Just go to Jared Henderson. You'll find me on YouTube. There you'll find a link to my newsletter too, jaredhenderson.substack.com, so you can read some of my writing if you want to. I post stuff once or twice a month, it seems, and on Substack I'm a lot more active. And yeah, you could just check it out. Maybe you'll like it.
You do have a TikTok, but you don't really use it, do you?
I've never posted a video. I've never posted a video, but I wanted to park my name. Actually, that was because TikTok tried to recruit me. I got like emails about it to like be brought into this special program and stuff. Wow. And I made the account, and then I was like, this is BS. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I deleted my first one, but I thought I'd go ahead and give it another try, because who knows? Who knows? Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. And again, if the baby does pop out tomorrow, man, hey, congratulations. I'm really excited for you guys.
Thank you very much. And at the very least, I will see you in November, Mike.
Absolutely. All right, man.